Okay, here we go with part 2 of the ifs video. I've wrote a little tiny program here that shows us an if else, and notice we've got two numeric variables. Variable 1 has got a value of 9 and variable 2 has a value of 12, and we've got a a combined condition where we're using the or. Remember, the two lines is or. So if this is greater than 10 or this is greater than 10, and notice since variable 2 is 12 and it is greater than 10, this will be true, this will be false. So since one of them is true, this will be executed, and when I run it, indeed that's what happens. So this one's, it's going to say this has happened because this is true, that happens. What I want to show you is I can sort of shorten my conditions a little bit here. So for instance, if I wanted to make that what's called a Boolean variable, false and true, notice that it goes blue. That's sort of how JavaScript recognizes a Boolean variable. Then I could just compare it like this. So this variable 1 is false, variable 2 is true. False or true, well, one or the other is true, it's going to execute this command again, isn't it? So I'm going to clear that and run that. And so it's almost like I can have a variable represent the value of a condition, which variable is kind of stupid. But if this was something like password OK equals false, or enough money is false, then you can see how changing conditions to Boolean variables, it might be easier to read your code. If password OK and name check OK, then you'll have access to the rest of the program, whatever the condition might be. Now, this is called Boolean, a Boolean variable. This is the end of your if note, and I just want to show you this, that the falsy values and truthy values, well, these Boolean values, this variable 1 being false and variable 2 being true, are actually true and false values. But I could, believe it or not, and this is pretty cool about JavaScript, is that if I put a number in here, that it will behave the same way. I'm actually going to split this off into two if statements so you can see what I'm doing here. So I've used variable 1 and variable 2 in the same way I would have had my Boolean. So if true, if false. But notice there's numbers in there, which seems weird because we're not comparing them to anything. It's not variable 1 greater than 10. It's just if variable 1. So if I run this, something pretty cool happens here. So this command was not executed. That's because variable 1 having a value of 0 is the same as false. However, the variable 2 having a value of 17 is evaluated true, and it executed this second command. And in fact, even if I made it negative 17, it's still going to execute. So if it's a numeric variable and I use it like a Boolean, 0 is what's considered to be false. It's falsy, as they say in JavaScript. And this one would be truey, well, truthy. Okay? And so the back in your note, numeric values, falsy numeric values are 0 or 0.0, and anything else not equal to 0 is considered truthy. So, well, what about strings? And this is pretty cool. Watch this. So even if I call this third, this then is checking. It's not whether it's Boolean, it's not whether it's 0. JavaScript will check it, and it actually considers this true. It checks and sees if there's anything at all in that string. So what is the 0 equivalent of a string? It's what's called the null string. So now this one is the null string. I'm going to clear that and show you this happened, didn't execute. But as soon as I put something between the quotes, even if it's a space, and I clear this and run it, as soon as it's a space, that's not null, and then it's evaluated as truthy. And so that got executed. Even, I want to blow your mind here, if I were to put a 0 in there and run it, that string is not null, so it's evaluated as true. Or even if I were to put the string false in here, well, that's a string that's not equal to the null string, and so again, it gets evaluated to true. This is true. Pretty strange and neat. So the back in here, the string value for that returns falsy is the null string, which is just open and close quotes, nothing inside. Truthy is anything else that's the non-null string. Okay, that's maybe more than you need to know about if structures at this point, but I wanted to point that out, especially if you've taken grade 10 computer science, that this is something that's very, very different about JavaScript, and I think, well, I'm a little bit of a nerd, but I think it's super cool about JavaScript. Okay, have fun with your exercises now.